Hey everyone, and welcome to HoI4 Man the Guns, which is the newest naval-focused expansion for HoI4. But other than a lot of naval improvements, it also has alternate British history, alternate American history, and a lot of smaller changes and additions. So, let's check it out, shall we? I haven't played HoI4 in a while, so this could be interesting. We'll start in 1936, and I think we're going to play as the United Kingdom, so that we can check out all the naval changes. Sounds good, and we can also check out the alternate British history while we're at it. Also, one more thing before we get started, there's a really nice new option, which is custom game roles, which is fairly self-explanatory. It allows you to customize game roles and game mechanics. You can disable specific game mechanics if you like to. It's useful for both multiplayer, but also for single player. You can experiment quite a lot in here. And so, you can strengthen specific nations if you want to, by quite a lot. You can change various game mechanics, or even block them completely. So you can block, let's say, the option to release nations, you can block production licenses, you can block a lot of things. Or you can change how they work. So I can change volunteers to same ideology only, for example. There's a lot in here. It's highly customizable. You can block paradrops if you don't like those. You can limit forts to a specific level. You can change AI behavior, so we can set the Germany AI to go democratic. We can set Soviet Union to be historical, like the default, or alternate. We can change Japan to go democratic. There's a lot of customizability in here. And you can also save the preset for use later. You can also start with the Soviet Union fragmented, with Yugoslavia fragmented, with India fragmented, with the United Kingdom fragmented, Asia decolonized, Africa decolonized, and Americas decolonized. So that's custom game roles. And I can reset it back to default. Let's do this. Since there's quite a lot to talk about, let's start from the British focus tree. It's quite a bit bigger than it was previously, and it has some interesting new options. So let's discuss those briefly. First, we still got Reinforce the Empire right here, but now it's mutually exclusive with a new What If branch, which basically allows you to guide your dominions to independence, and eventually leads to decolonization. Then we got the democratic branches, and yes, there are two of them. First, we got the former option, which didn't change too much. It allows you to focus on appeasement and home defense. There is prepare for the inevitable option now, which makes this branch a little bit more appealing, by giving you military factory construction speed bonus. But we got the alternative history branch, which explores what would happen if the British had not continued appeasement as long as they did. And it allows you to replace Chamberlain with Churchill. And then there's no further appeasement focus, which changes the rules. It allows you to justify and declare war on countries in the same ideology group, so other democratic countries. It allows you to puppet countries. It allows you to send volunteer forces. But all of that comes with a penalty of minus 15% base stability. So you lose quite a bit of stability, but you change the rules. So you can basically ignore war tension limits and requirements. But you will be less powerful in terms of industry compared to the home defense branch. So that's the trade-off, I suppose. Then we got a change in courts branch, which has three alternative ideology options. There's the fascist branch, starting from organized black shirts. There's the communist branch, starting from concessions to the trade unions. And there's the most interesting one, the King's Party, which basically explores what would happen if King Edward VIII did not abdicate the throne. So that's probably the most interesting new option, I think. Or at least I'm quite curious about this one. And that's basically the new revised British focus tree in a nutshell. There's obviously a lot more to it than that, but these are basically the options that you start from. Also, if you decide not to decolonize, You can pursue the Imperial Federation, which allows you to integrate your dominions, granting you new courts, so that's quite a nice new option, if you don't want to decolonize. So next up, we got what's probably the single biggest feature of Man the Guns, which is the ship designer, because ships work completely differently in Man the Guns. When you unlock new ships through the research tree, you don't unlock actual ships anymore, you unlock hulls. And hulls are mostly empty, they got some basic stats, like speed, but other than that you need to fill them with modules. And modules are researched separately. We can see here that we already start with some modules researched, like smoke generators, passive sonar, basic depth chargers, but then there are a lot more that we can still research. So there are some up here, but there's a separate tree all the way down, right here. We got armaments, we got damage control, fire control methods, and we also got some modules that are unlocked outside of the naval tree. So for example, anti-air is unlocked in artillery, so when you research anti-air in artillery, you also unlock modules for your ships. You can also unlock radar modules in engineering, so that's a thing. There's also fire control in engineering. It's not just the naval tree, but there are quite a lot of modules, as you can see. And there are also some special halls only available for certain nations. I know Germany has one, not sure if the UK has one, but there are some special halls that are available as rewards to specific nations. So, let's check out the actual ship designer, shall we? Because that's the most interesting part. And here it is. This is the ship designer window. There's quite a lot going on here. First of all, we can check any of the templates that we have available. So, for example, I can check the York class and see what's going on here, but I can start a new one. So let's pick, let's say, the early cruiser hull. Then we can pick the specific hull. I don't really have a lot available, so we'll grab, let's say, this one. And then we got all kinds of modules here. Some of them are mandatory, so mostly the engine. We can't get rid of the engine, but we can switch it to a different one, and we can see how exactly it will affect the stats. So this one will increase the fuel use, because fuel is another new mechanic in Man the Guns. It's fairly self-explanatory, and fuel is generated from our excess oil. We can also store some extra in silos, so I could build additional silos to increase our maximum capacity. And it's delivered using supply lines. So tanks, mechanized units, ships, planes all require fuel. And this is the fuel usage. So other than the engine, we got custom slots, and we also got fixed modules. So we got some fixed modules down here. For example, this is the anti-air module. I can only install anti-air in this one. I don't have to. If I want to minimize the production cost, I can just leave it empty. But it can only be used for anti-air and nothing else. Then we got the battery, so we can have some light batteries, we can have some heavy batteries. Then we got fire control or sonar. I don't actually have one available here. So let's say fire control here and sonar here. Then we got secondaries, so secondary battery too. And we got some armor. So let's say we'll grab that one. And then we got custom slots, which can be used for quite a few different things. And some modules are restricted to specific hull types. So for example, if I want depth chargers, I can't use the cruiser. I have to use the destroyer, if I want depth chargers. In case of the cruiser, out of the modules I currently have available, this is what I can install. So we can have some torpedo launchers, we can have secondary batteries, we can have more medium batteries, rapid fire guns, aircraft facilities, we can have anti-air. So let's say we'll have some torpedo launchers right here. I can't actually save this design, but I'm mostly doing this to show how it actually works. Then we got the other custom slot. I can leave this empty, like I already said, but I don't have to. Right now I'm restricted to 5300 maximum production cost, and that's because of the London Naval Treaty. So I can't go above that. But that's a completely separate mechanic. that has nothing to do with the ship designer. This limit isn't always here, it's specifically there because of the naval treaty. And then we got one last slot. So with the 5300 limit, I can't actually have all these things. So I could leave this one empty, and this could be the design. But we can also make highly specialized ships. So for example, if I'm having problems with submarines, we can design a destroyer with just depth charges alone and literally nothing else other than the engine. And it will be super cheap. So we could mass produce those and use them against, let's say, German submarines in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean when we know we won't be needing anti-air. So that's an option. There are a lot of things you can do. You can have ships with super high naval attack, much higher than was previously possible under the old system, but they will have other weaknesses. There's always going to be some kind of weakness. And that's the ship designer in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it than that, but that's basically how it works. And we can also use an icon here to indicate what kind of ship this is going to be. So, here. And then it will use that icon. So it will be easier to identify what exact design this is. And yeah, like I said, that's that. It's a really interesting system. I'm quite looking forward to playing with it some more. Especially with more modules unlocked, because right now I don't have a whole lot unlocked. But it gets much more interesting later on. You can also refit your old ships, so that's an option, because one of the problems previously is that when you build some ships, they could easily be outdated by the time they hit the waves. So now you can actually refit your ships. It can take some time, but it's an option, you can do it. Anyway, from the other features, you can now use experience to boost technologies, or rather research. So as an example, I can spend 50 naval experience here to gain 150% bonus during research. And then depth charge thrower would be done in 82 days instead of 198. As for experience itself, it is much easier to gain naval experience now, as well as air experience. Partially because you actually kind of need it to use the ship designer. But one way to gain naval experience now is to use the new mission. So I can send some of my task forces on naval exercises, and I will gain naval experience. This will also use fuel, obviously, because they will be out. But a lot of things use fuel now. Fuel changes a lot of the gameplay. It will definitely take some time to get used to. Anyway, other than that, you can declare some of the sea zones as limited or restricted. I can set naval access level here to avoid or to blocked. When it's set to avoid, fleets and trade routes will try to avoid this region unless there's no other route. And if I set it to blocked, they will never pass through this region. We can also designate a capital ship as Pride of the Fleet, and we do already have one in Home Fleet. If I select the Home Fleet, here's Pride of the Fleet. I would have to spend political power to unassign it. So I will not be doing that. I don't actually have that much. Other than that, there's naval terrain. So for example, here we got ocean, here we got fjords and archipelagos, and you can see all the modifiers. Then we also have shallow sea, we got deep ocean, and I think that covers it. There might be one more still. But yeah, that's naval terrain. And there are quite a few other features that are kind of hard to show like this. So there's a new naval combat system, which I can't show you because I'm not at war. There's a new fleet interface, which is more in line with the regular army interface. And I should probably assign an admiral right away, so let's do that. And there are also amphibious vehicles, there are supervised states, there are governments in exile, there are mines, but I can't show you mine laying either, because that mission requires you to be at war. But it's basically a mission now. So, yep, right here, mine laying and the mine sweeping. But I'm not at war, so I can't activate those. You can also assume faction leadership. if you are stronger than your current faction leader. It costs 200 political power, so it's not exactly cheap. But you can do it, where previously it was not possible. And I think that's about it. I'm sure there are a lot of other things, but that covers all the major and not so major changes and features. So now, we are going to play as the United Kingdom. And I think we'll go for one of the new branches. I want to see what happens if we go for this branch right here, the King's Party. So that's basically the alternative history, what will happen if King Edward VIII will not abdicate. That's what we'll do. I mean, I know what will happen, the Dominions will leave, they will use it as an excuse to break from the crown, and then we will have the option to reconquer them. So we'll have consolidated the British Isles as an option, we'll have bring the Dominions back into the fold, and we'll have reclaimed the jewel in the crown, and we will even get United the Anglosphere, which will give us a war goal to annex the United States. This is also available if you go for Organize the Blackshirts, which is the fascist branch. So it's available with both the fascist branch and with the King's Party. So we can just get started and start from a change in course. Hold on though, what else can we start from? We can grab Reinforce the Empire. Now if we go for Reinforce the Empire, but also for the King's Party at the same time, then Commonwealth ties will not be available. But everything else in this branch will be available. So I think that will be better. There's not much point going for revisit colonial policy when we know our colonies will break away from the crown before 1936 is over. But actually, let's start from limited rearmament, because that will give us extra civilian factories. And we definitely need those. And then we can pick our research. So we'll start from the obvious, so industrial, basic machine tools, construction 1, and then in engineering we'll grab extra research speed, and then we could get started on some naval research. That is not a bad idea. We could get a better submarine hull, or we could get a heavy ship hull. Let's get a heavy ship hull. Oh yeah, and another change is that when you build some of the ship classes, you are limited to a certain number of naval dockyards. So when you build capital ships, you can only use 5 naval dockyards on those. And the cruisers, as well as most of the ships, can only have 10. And convoys and such do not have any limit. Anyway, let's unlock the heavy ship hull. And then we should probably check out the production, because this is going to be a huge mess. Yep, this is a huge mess. How about we cancel all of that? Okay, here, I removed everything except infantry equipment, artillery, and support equipment. We will need infantry equipment, and we will also need support equipment. And I know we'll need that for one of the decisions. Once our dominions break away from the crown, there will be a decision available to support the loyalists. And it will require some infantry equipment and some support equipment. And I think also some artillery, if I remember right. But we will definitely need that, even without that decision, obviously. So now, let's check out our ships. Do we have some 1936 hulls? Yes, we do. The destroyer should probably just check out that design. So let's take a look. What do we have here? Let's see. Torpedoes. Alright. Depth chargers. So this is basically anti-sub, at least partially. Alright, what else do we have here that uses 1946 hulls? I don't think we'll need more convoys in the near future. We got 800. We do have a cruiser with a 1946 hull, so that's available. I might just wait for something better. Right, how about that cruiser? That actually looks reasonable. And we could add something. Well, no, I can't add anything right now because we have no naval experience, but we'll get naval experience soon enough. Let's get some cruisers. That sounds reasonable. Okay. So now I'm limited to 10 naval dockyards, as you can see. We can assign all of those. And then we could get some destroyers, I suppose. Alright, we can always refit them. That's an option. Here. And that will use most of our naval dockyards. That will be fine. And we can add the convoy to the queue. For when we get some extra dockyards. Alright, and I think that's going to be it for now. I'm not adding anything else just yet. We are fine like this. I'm not going to build any fighters until we unlock better ones. So we could research the 1936 fighter pretty early. And then start that. Other than that, we will need more civilian factories. So let's build a few of those first. Before we start getting more military factories. That will be enough for now. We got some decisions. Oh yeah, here's another new mechanic, naval treaties. We start the game with a naval treaty active, which limits what kind of ships we can design. There's a maximum limit on the ships. We can withdraw, which will cost us 150 political power. I don't think I'm going to do that though, because I probably can't get enough political power quickly enough, and we will also need political power for other things. But just so you know, this is the reason why if I go into the ship designer, there's a maximum production cost here, and it's different depending on which hull we are using. So for example, cruisers are limited to 5300. That's because of that exact treaty. Other than that, we also got grow rubber plantation in Nigeria. That one is pretty cheap, so I might grab that once we get 25 political power. And we will not be touching foreign influence. There's no point. We have other plans for that. Yep, there's no point picking that up. Alright, and I think we can unpause. Attention! We don't have any generals assigned, or admirals, so how about we do that really quick? And looks like we are over the limit. 12 out of 10 active task forces. Alright, that's not a problem. Let's just reassign some of them. Like these guys. We can assign them to Mediterranean Command instead. So that's 11 out of 10. It's a little bit weird that we start over the limit, but alright, whatever. No problem. Some destroyers, yeah, we can assign those to Mediterranean Command. Here, that will be 10 out of 10. And we'll send some to naval exercises. Maybe not all of them, because we have limited fuel. And we will be using a ton of fuel if we send everything. We definitely do not want to send everything. So let's just grab one fleet here. Heavy cruiser, light cruiser. Alright, Northern Patrol. We can send them on naval exercises. That should work. I don't think that actually worked. Hold on. Let me try that again. And now, yeah, it did. They are just still moving, because I'm on speed 1. And now we can see, here in the outliner, it's active. Alright. And you can also see our current fuel consumption. Current consumption is 2k per day. And the green line represents our stockpile. And the red one is the remaining stockpile that we can still have. Alright then, so we can run speed 5 for a bit. I'm probably going to make quite a few cuts, because there isn't going to be anything overly exciting early on. We will mostly be waiting for the focus and for the research. And yep, now we can see we have enough fuel for 85 days, 90 days, something like that. I can just cancel the exercise. But right now, yeah, you can see that our naval experience is going up pretty quickly. And that was only just part of our fleet. And King George V dies. Now we will get minus 0.10 weekly stability. Because we will gain the other national spirit. Yep, this one. Edward VIII. We also have London Naval Treaty signatory, which I already talked about. We got plus 50% ideology drift defense. And the war to end all wars, which is minus 25% recruitable population factor. We'll get a chance to remove that later. Now, I'm going to save political power for now, and I will not be picking up any advisors because they will get removed in the near future. Probably best if we switch from civilian economy to early mobilization once we get 150 and once we get enough war support. We'll see. Political power is not going anywhere, so that's fine. Oh yeah, and we should probably start some training. Not a lot, but we should train at least one division. So let's just train some basic infantry. We want to stockpile the equipment, so I don't want to train too much. I know for a fact I will need that equipment in the stockpile. But we can train one guy. So that's what we'll do. And we got limited rearmament. So now we can get started on a change in course, because we'll obviously need that. And it's only 35 days. And it will give us plus 10% political power gain, plus 0.20 weekly war support. Definitely useful. And there it is, we got a change in course. And if we wanted to withdraw from the naval treaty, it looks like we would actually have enough political power just in time, but I will not be doing that. We'll get a chance to do that later. So now, I can't get the King's Party just yet because the event needs to fire first. So Edward VIII needs to marry first, and then we can get the King's Party. We can go for something else. And right now my options are kind of limited. We could get motorized army, which will give us 100% research bonus for motorized. I don't really need that right now. I can't quite get the shadow scheme, unfortunately, because world tension is not enough. Let's just get started on reinforce the empire. Like I said earlier, we will not be able to get Commonwealth ties, but we'll be able to get everything else in here. So let's do that. And it just doesn't make any sense going for revisit colonial policy. That would make no sense whatsoever. Oh yeah, and we are out of fuel, so it's probably best if we cancel the naval exercises. So, here. Back you go. Cancel all of them. There. But we got 60 Navy experience. That's going to be useful for the ship designer. And I can keep doing this and then use it for the busts. So now we got, okay, 143. Getting close to 150. And there's the heavy ship hull. Nice. We can check that out in the ship designer right away. And also basic machine tools. Alright, so it's not quite 1937 yet. Let's go for concentrated industry. And then we could continue some research in the naval tree. So what can we unlock here? Active sonar. Okay, that is definitely useful. Improved ship torpedo launcher. We can also get super heavy battleship hull if we want to. So that might not be a bad idea, actually. What else do we have down here? Better shells. Firefighting drills. Chance to receive critical hit minus 10%. Effects of sustained critical hits minus 10%, alright. Bracket shooting. Okay then. We don't quite need mines, because we will not be at war in the predictable future. Well, we will be at war a little bit later, but not yet. We could get a better submarine hull, because right now our submarines are really bad. Yeah, let's do that. Some submarines definitely won't hurt. And we got 150. And there's the second London Naval Treaty. So, let's see if we can switch. Yes, we can switch to early mobilization. Let's do that then, because these penalties are kind of bad. Yep, that's a good use of 150 political power. Alright, so let's check out that new hull, shall we? Let's see. That's the one. Heavy ship hull. Let's see what we can do here. Now, we are capped at 10,000. And this guy will be capped at 5 naval dockyards, if I'm not mistaken. So, heavy battery. Or anti-air. What else do we have here? Secondary battery, heavy battery, anti-air. Well, we'll definitely want some anti-air, but we can install it here. So this one will not affect maximum speed. But anti-air 2 is way better. So anti-air 2 it is then. We can get better armor. I'll have to sacrifice something, because I will go over the limit otherwise. Secondary battery. We can get a better engine, which will also increase fuel usage. But I like better engine, let's do that. Don't quite have radar or sonar yet. Fire control. Yep, we want that for sure. Battery. So this is mandatory, we need one in here. Alright, that's already almost 9,000. Yeah. Well then. Secondary battery. What about heavy battery? What are the stats here? Yeah, it will increase heavy attack quite a lot, but I will go over the limit already. As you can see, this limit is pretty harsh. But it still makes sense to build some of those. We can always refit them in the future. But yeah. Okay, hold on. How is the engine? 400 production cost. Let's say we'll keep the previous engine. So, like that. I definitely need fire control. What about anti-air? How's the production cost? 120. Okay, so not that bad. Battery. Okay, yeah, but we need that. I can't actually remove it, it's mandatory. Yeah, heavy battery is quite heavy, as you might expect. We are at 8,200. Let's get some anti-air then. And then maybe secondary battery. How heavy is that? Or rather production cost, 240. That's reasonable. I'm okay with that. And then another secondary battery. Here, that's 9200. And we can still get one. Or we can get more anti-air. That's 9500. 98. So how about we get a better engine after all? Here, that's going to be exactly 10,000. Sounds good? Alright, so I'm not super creative with the class name, so I'll keep 1936 heavy ship. Works for me. We can also pick the historical battlecruisers name list. So there it is. And saving this design will cost us 38 naval experience. Which is fine. Here it is. So now we can add that to the queue. And let's move it up the queue. And yep, like I said, we are limited to 5 naval dockyards only. So that's how it's going to be. Let's make sure we are actually working those. Here. And we got construction 1. I also started some exercises again. Next up, it's June currently. Let's get excavation 1. And there it is. Edward VIII abdication crisis. So now we got 3 options. We can abdicate, or we can insist on a royal marriage, or we can compromise and go for a less harsh option, I suppose. Yeah, the third option is minus 15% base stability, that's kind of bad. But we will get 10% change in popularity of non-aligned. I think I like the middle option more. Minus 15% base stability is kind of harsh. And we are currently at 71%. And we will almost certainly get more stability penalties as the crisis continues. So let's compromise, and we'll go for that. And there it is, reinforce the empire. Now, we can't quite go for the king's party focus, because the marriage didn't actually happen yet. We'll go for something else, so service overseas. Yup. That's required for basically everything else in that branch. And there it is, working classes support marriage. We will have the option to abdicate anytime we want, but obviously I'm not going to do that. We'll get 2% change in popularity of non-aligned and plus 5% base stability. But not everyone is going to support it, I can tell you as much. Here's mechanical computing. And I think we're done with engineering for now. Yeah, the penalty will be a little bit too harsh. We could get started on some naval doctrines. Oh yeah, actually hold on, let's maybe research the fighter. Here, because I don't really want to spend production on the crappy fighters. Prime Minister restricts king. Okay, yeah, minus 50 political power. I guess I'm okay with that. I don't really have much of a choice here. We can spend some before we accept that. Grow rubber plantations in Nigeria. Yeah, we can grab that. That's pretty much it. Alright, we lost 50 political power, that's fine. And here's another one. Support forms for Edward the 8th. Good, we shall set a date. Plus 100 political power. 10% change in popularity of non-aligned. Gains support the king, which grants weekly stability plus 1%. Okay then. Continue preparations. So now we got 157. I could actually change something, or we can save up for advisors. Because we will get a chance to recruit some unique advisors. I can't get them just yet, because we don't have the actual party in power. But once the ruling party changes, we'll be able to get Winston Churchill, who will give us plus 10% world support and plus 0.10 daily support for unaligned. Oswald Mosley, who will give us minus 5% consumer goods factories and plus 5% stability. And David Lloyd George, who will give us plus 15% political power gain. It's probably best to save up. And here's the submarine hull, nice one. Let's maybe unlock some modules, shall we? Active sonar, let's get that. That will be quite useful once we go to war. Especially the actual war. And here's another one, newspapers oppose the marriage. Alright then. I guess that's fine. And here it is. We got service overseas. And I think I'm actually going to spend some political power, because yeah, we'll get events like this one, which will remove political power. It's best if we spend it while we still can, because it's quite likely I'll go down to 0 or even into the negatives. Let's change volunteer-only conscription law to limited conscription. Definitely a good idea. And then we can accept the political power penalty, I guess. I'm obviously not abdicating. Oh yeah, and new national focus. I still can't get the king's party because the marriage didn't actually happen yet. Let's get something else instead. Can we get anything here yet? Yes, we can. We can get a shadow scheme, which will give us some more military factories and also 4 building slots. Okay, sounds good. Let's do that. And here it is, cabinet resigns. So now fallen government will become the leader for the Democratic Party. We'll also get minus 50% political power gain, minus 10% stability, and yep, there it is, minus 150 political power. Well, alright then. It's still an option to abdicate, but I'm obviously not doing that. Here, now we got minus 97. And as you can see, fallen government, cabinet crisis. There's concentrated industry. Nice. Let's get started on improved machine tools. It's almost 1937 anyway. The penalty is not that bad. Oh yeah, and we should probably start some exercises for our actual army. Definitely a good idea. And create an actual army. So let's do that. Assign the general. So this guy. Assign the field marshal. Here you go. And we can start the exercises. I won't be doing that too much, but I want at least some army experience. Working classes support marriage. Okay, good. Stability looks fine. So far. Hopefully it will continue that way. And our civilian factory queue is done. Let's get a few more naval dockyards. So one down here, one up here. And then maybe at least one more civilian factory. Here, that will do. Missing equipment production. Yeah, I don't need light tanks. There's active sonar, good. We are still working on the fighter. Engineering? No, not yet. Well, no, it's too early. How about we do some infantry research? Yep, let's do that. How's that focus? Almost done. Come on, I need the marriage. It should be happening pretty soon. Newspapers support the marriage. Okay, nice. 76% stability. Political power is still in the negatives. Hopefully not for much longer. 22% war support. And it's done. And also excavation 1. Next up, construction 2. The minions break with the crown, yep. That's what I was talking about earlier. Minus 100 political power. Minus 15% base stability. The Dominion of Canada becomes free, South Africa becomes free, the British Raj becomes free, Australia and New Zealand also becomes free. Well, good for them, we didn't need them anyway. So, let's not pick anything just yet. But I think I'll have to. Not sure how much longer we have to wait. Hopefully not too much longer. What can we grab? Air defense. I don't think I quite need that. Plus 25 air experience. Nah. Alright, here. Let's do encourage colonial elite. Working classes support marriage. Go us. Newspapers support the marriage. Okay. And we finish the fighter. Nice. So, what should we grab next? Engineering? A little bit too early for that. Industry? Yeah, concentrated industry too. Or fuel refining too. I'm thinking that might be a bit better. Or we can get that next. Concentrated industry first. Okay, carry on. It's almost 1937. Hopefully that marriage will be happening soon. And there it is, the royal marriage of Edward VIII. So we'll gain 50 political power, plus 5% base stability, and plus 5% change in popularity of non-aligned. And now we'll have... not yet. Oh yeah, now we can actually research, or rather get that focus. But let's finish what we're doing. Here, done. So now we can go for the king's party. There it is. So let's do that then. And then we'll get Churchill, Mosley and David Lloyd George as potential advisors available for hire. Alright, go. Alright, I cancelled the exercises for now because we'll need the stockpile. And we got improved machine tools. So next up, let's unlock some modules, shall we? So we got the depth charge thrower. I could even spend 50 naval experience to speed up the research. So that's not a terrible idea. Although we probably don't need that particular one. That will take too long. Okay, let's get this one. And the other research is almost done. Here. So that was infantry research. It's not 1938 yet, so I'll pass on that. But let's actually get some strategic bombers. Why the heck not? I quite like those. And speaking of air, I still didn't start that fighter. Which one was it? Yeah, this one, Hurricane. And then move it up the queue. After artillery. I think it's time to build some more military factories. Probably a good idea, yes. Here, that will do for now. Okay, let's build some more military factories. We have enough civilian for now. Here. That will keep them busy for a while. Pakistan declared war on India, alright. Well, that's not our problem anymore. And there it is. We got the King's Party. So now Edward VIII is the leader. So now we can actually grab the advisors once we get political power. And you can see the King's Party support. Currently 54% popularity. And now we can continue down this branch. We could go for God Save the King. Definitely a good idea. Yeah, then we will lose inexperienced imperialist, which is reducing our political power gain. Okay, let's grab that then. And then we can continue down this branch even more. So we could conquer Ireland, for example. There's construction too. We are in April currently. Excavation too makes sense, so let's get that. Well, that war already ended, apparently. That was quick. Quicker than I expected. There's concentrated industry too. I think we're done with industry for now. Yeah, it's a bit too early to start on 1939 technologies. But let's actually get fuel refining too. We will definitely need that sooner or later. Probably sooner rather than later. And we are almost capped on fuel. Let's start some more naval exercises, shall we? Let's just send the entire home fleet, because why the heck not? Here. And there's God Save the King. So now we can go for appeal to imperial loyalists, and this will unlock some decisions, allowing the instigation of pro-British civil wars in former dominions. Yeah, we definitely want that, so that will take 70 days. There, we got the strategic bomber. Okay, what can we go for next? It's July currently. Artillery? Well, we'll want better artillery eventually, so how about we get started on that? And here's more research. And we finished appeal to imperial loyalists, so that will unlock some decisions. We'll check those out in just a moment. I got 81 political power already, so hopefully we'll be able to do something. Alright, let's go for bracket shooting. Alright, and we got some free military factories. First, let's check what exactly we need, and pick another focus. Bring the dominions back into the fold. So that will give us claims. I'm not quite ready to declare war just yet, so I think I'll pass on that. Let's see what else we can get in other parts of the tree. So yeah, industrial effort, how about that? Research bonus for industry. That will definitely be useful. And even more military factories. Alright, let's check the decisions. They will be in here. There it is. So we need 100 political power, which we will have pretty soon. We also need at least 5,000 infantry equipment, at least 100 support equipment, and at least 250 artillery. We have all of that. Let's check how much exactly we have. Yeah, we have more than enough. Might need some extra support equipment to do all of this. How much support? 100 support. No, we have enough of everything. Just need to wait to get political power. But anyway, that's just one of the many options we got now, and in fact, I would say it's probably best to cancel this focus. It's only 4 days in, so we won't lose anything. And we can get Ireland instead first. So in 70 days we could declare war on Ireland. And the benefit of getting Ireland first is that they aren't allied with anyone, so they will not call anyone in. If I declare war on South Africa, then they will call in Australia and Canada, and New Zealand. So it's probably best to wait with that a little bit. And the civil war will almost definitely not succeed without my help. So it's best to time the civil war with our own war declaration. But before we do that, we'll conquer Ireland. However, that's going to be enough for this one single video, because it's already going to be way longer than I intended it to be. I hope you find it useful. I tried to show as much as I possibly can, but that's quite a tough task with Man the Guns. I will be playing HoI4 Man more, because I'm quite enjoying Man the Guns. There are a lot of changes that I like. But for now, thanks for watching, I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a like if you did, or a dislike if you didn't, and subscribe for more. I'll see you next time. Bye bye.